This is the next video, questions 31 through 40. So a blank is an ordered arrangement of R objects from n distinct objects without repetition. So if its order matters, this is going to be a permutation, okay? No repetition, order matters, permutation. All right, the next one is going to say a blank is an arrangement of R objects from n distinct without repetition and without regard to order, okay? The without regard to order tells me it's a combination, okay? A combination. Those are just definitions. Be sure you know those, know the difference, and note without repetition as well on this one. In a combination, order is not important. Well, we just said it doesn't matter, so that should be true, right? So AB is the same thing as BA, whereas in permutations, AB and BA would be different because order does matter, okay? So how about this factorial symbol? This factorial symbol, right? It's the exclamation point. Well, what does it look like? Well, let's look at this and see. Let's see. We have n factorial equals. It's going to be something like n times n minus 1 times n minus 2, and then we're going to go all the way down to 2 times 1, 3 times 2 times 1, whatever. It's going to go all the way down to 1. So, and then we define two things. We defined 0 factorial and 1 factorial to both be 1, okay? So that means this drop down should look like this, and this drop down should be 1, right? So let's look there and see if we can find those things. Any of these look like it? Aha, that bottom one right there looks like it. And here, this is 1. Let's check that answer and see if we got that there right. Very good. Very, very good. And they even give us 1 factorial and 0 factorial are defined to be 1 there. So find the value of the factorial, 7 factorial. But remember, factorials mean what? 7 times 6. That's right, 7 factorial means 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So if I take my calculator, and by the way, you have a factorial button. It is either in your stats or your PRB, probability menu, under probably the calc menu. It should say calc for calculate. And there should be, it's either number 3 or 5. I don't remember. It's on there. So 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is 5,040. 5,040. So that's what's going to go in my box here. It's my answer, 5,040 right here. So 5040. Did I hit any wrong buttons? No. And I don't have to put the comma in there. I think it'll take it with the comma as well. So permutations. Again, there's a button on your calculator that has, I think it looks like this, NPR. It's not a button, it's in a menu, and it's going to be on the stat menu or the PRB menu. And I say that because I think some calculators go straight to PRB, but a lot of them you have to put the stats in first and then go find the PRB and then look for NPR. So here we have 4 permutation 1. So if I'm working it by hand, the formula for this is going to be n factorial over n minus r factorial. Okay, and n minus r is in parentheses. You got to subtract that first and then take the factorial. So this is going to be 4 factorial over 4 minus, it's just a 1 factorial. Okay, it's going to be 4 factorial over 3 factorial. And anytime you have this, you can say 4 times the next one down factorial. Because you already have a 3 down here, so just stop at 3 factorial up here so they cross out. And you're left with just 4. There's nothing really to multiply there. But if you punch in 4 NPR 1, enter, you should get 4. Okay? You should get 4. So let's see if 4 is the correct answer here. All right? Well done. Good job. Same deal right here. All right? We have 9P0. So this is going to be 9 factorial over 9 minus 0 factorial, or you can put in 9 NPR 0. And this is going to be 9 factorial over 9 factorial because 9 minus 0 is 9. Those divide out and become 1s, and that whole thing is 1. The value of that is 1. By the way, any permutation with 0 second is going to be 1. So 28P0, 57P0, 38P0, 1P0 is going to be 1. Now we move on to combinations. Combinations are the same formula except one thing is added. So NCR, and there's a button, by the way, on a calculator or a choice in a menu for this. So this is going to be n factorial over n minus r factorial like we had before, but it has an extra r factorial. And what you're doing, you're dividing by a bigger number because here order doesn't matter. So remember, AB is the same thing as BA, whereas in permutations they were different. That's why you had so many permutations. More, you'll find that permutations is bigger than combinations here because permutations, the order is important. It doesn't matter about the order in combinations. So here in this one, 11C8. Again, I have a button on my calculator. Just hit it and it works. But otherwise, I'm going to do 11 factorial over 8 factorial and 11 minus 8 factorial, which is going to be 11 factorial over 8 factorial, 3 factorial. And again, which one of these is bigger down here? 8. So I'm going to say 11 times 9 times 10 times 9 times 8 factorial over 8 factorial times 3 times 2 times 1. I left my 8 factorials because they divide out. Why write 8 times all the way down, right, to 1? So those divide out. And I look for 11, 10, 9 times 3, 2, or over 3, 2, 1. Can anything divide out? Well, 3 and 9, it becomes a 3 and a 1, and 2 goes into 10 5 times and a 1 down here. So that means I've divided all of this out down here, so I no longer have a fraction. I have 11 times 5 times 3. So 11 times 5 is 55 times 3 is 165, and that is my 11C8. Oops, let's see. So it's 165 we said, right? I hope so. Yep. And then the same thing here, 7 combination 6. So we have 7C6, which is going to be 7 factorial over 6 factorial, and then 7 minus 6 factorial, which is 7 factorial over 6 factorial, 1 factorial. So 7 times 6 factorial over 6 factorial times 1. Those divide out, and that's just good old 7. Good old 7 there, all right? And any factorial, any combination of one number less is always going to be the number that's on the left. 7, 8 choose 7 is going to be 8. 37 choose 36 is going to be 37. And then we're going to see what 5 combination with 5 is going to be here. So this is going to be 5 factorial over 5 factorial, and then 5 minus 5 factorial. Well, look at that. That's going to be 5 factorial over 5 factorial, 0 factorial. Those divide out, and this becomes 1. So everything's a 1. 1 over 1 is 1. Anytime these numbers match here, that answer is just going to be 1 if it's a combination. So this is going to be 1. But again, you punch it in your calculator, and it tells you, and you're all good. Okay? So that finishes up this video of the questions 31 through